Welcome to the Holistic Plastic Surgery Show, where we dive deep into the hottest trends in health, beauty, and cosmetic treatments. I'm Dr. Anthony Youn, America's holistic plastic surgeon. Who doesn't want to live a long, healthy, and joyful life? I know that I do. My guest this week, one of the most famous physicians in the country, has figured out the secret to getting exactly that. And it involves 5 pillars that are a must for all of us. How do you find your sense of purpose? Why is it so important to be a part of your community? Is exercise really that necessary for our health? And how does how we eat and what we eat fit into all of this? After listening to this podcast episode, you'll leave with the 5 pillars or secrets that can unlock the true healthy potential of your life. By learning these 5 pillars, you can focus on what really matters and discard any unnecessary baggage. We'll also discuss what is one of the most fascinating topics in medicine today, gene expression, and how you can control how your genes express themselves. It's a podcast episode filled with actionable takeaways that I think you will really appreciate. So let's get started. My guest this week is the creator and host of the internationally syndicated medical lifestyle television show, Ask Dr Nandi. He is also the chief health editor at WXYZ ABC Detroit, a practicing physician and a renowned international speaker. His appearances include TEDx, college commencements, numerous charity functions, and premier medical meetings such as Digestive Disease Week. My guest is partnered with the Ministry of Health in Jamaica and India and collaborated with the World Health Organization. He often travels to international conferences and symposia, meeting with global health leaders on his quest to improve healthcare quality, access, and advocacy, and to empower the world in his mission to be your own health hero. I'd like to welcome my good friend, Dr. Partha Nandi, to the Holistic Plastic Surgery Show. Well, welcome to the Holistic Plastic Surgery Show. It's definitely a pleasure to finally have you on my show. It's crazy because we literally work in the same hospital, but I'd never see you there.
That's right. It seems like both of us kind of miss each other. I think you're super busy doing a lot of amazing things, so I applaud you for all your efforts. No, we never see each other in the hospital, but we seem to see each other all over the place elsewhere. We just came back from a meeting, and no, it's good. It's a pleasure to be on your show. Thank you for having me.
So this is a different thing for you because you're used to being on the other side and being the interviewer. And right. What a lot of people, hopefully, who are watching know is that, you are a full-time gastroenterologist, and you've got a full-time practice, but you do so much more than that. And it's fascinating because you have your own national television show. It's actually international, and I know that it's broadcast to dozens of countries worldwide. You've just written a book that really is going to be flying off the shelves very, very quickly, I know. Why did you decide to do more than just be a full-time gastroenterologist, which is really what most people in your field, that takes up all their time anyway?
Yeah, I'll tell you that it's a great question because people ask me, why would you get a successful practice? And I have 8 partners. What really inspired me was, my father became ill about 9 years ago, and we were pretty stunned because he was a very healthy guy. All of a sudden, he had this devastating stroke, and I became his caregiver. And I thought I did a pretty good job being a doc. I thought it was, empathetic and knew what was going on. But when I became the caregiver, when I became the caretaker, I really understood that there's so much we don't know when you're the patient. There's so much we don't know. For example, I'll tell you, the first day my dad comes into the hospital after he has a stroke, I'm not there because I'm rounding on my own patients, and my sister and my mom are there. And when I come back, they're crying, and I said, "What happened?" They said, "Well, the doctor said that that Dad's not going to do well. That really he has really no chance, and that he barely could just take him home or to nursing home." I said, "Well, he just saw him for one day. How did he make that assessment?" And they didn't give him a reason. Well, and you know this, but a lot of people don't know this. There's a little known fact in American medicine called DRG. So you know what DRGs are? It's diagnosed related group. So when my dad came in with a stroke, he's an older gentleman. They knew he was going to be there for a very long time. And let's say somebody else, let's say they're 50 years old, have something else that's going on, they'll be there for a week. Well, my dad becomes a cost loser. He becomes somebody who's going to waste their resources because he's going to get the same payment but take a lot of resources. So my family didn't know that that was the reason why they wanted to get him out of there. And so it dawned on me that probably most people don't know this, and most people don't know a lot of things about medicine. Most people don't know a lot of things about preventative medicine. So I set out and said, you know what, I don't want a crisis, because most people figure it out when there's a crisis. I want to have people pay their health forward. So we started a movement called Being Your Own Health Hero. I started a show starting in one station in Detroit, as you know, and as you know, we're now in 215 million homes around the world, and it just starts with having understanding of what really needs to be done. So I think that's really galvanized my movement, and then we've really tried to get people to understand what are some of the things you can do to be proactive to your health, be it your own health hero, be your own health advocate, and that's been our movement. And I'm really excited about sharing this book with people. It really talks about the 5 pillars in which you can also be an advocate. You can also be a health hero in sickness and in health. It doesn't always have to be in sickness. It doesn't always have to be when you are, totally healthy.
So your book is titled Ask Dr. Nandi, 5 Steps to Becoming Your Own Health Hero for Longevity, Well-Being, and a Joyful Life. So obviously there's a lot of information in there about these 5 steps, but can you give these 5 steps briefly of what these 5 things are that really anybody can focus on to improve their health and really overall improve their life?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that one of the biggest features of the book are really that you have small steps that can lead to big results. So I start off in the book talking about, to me, what's the most important pillar, which is having purpose in your life. So when you have purpose in your life, what happens is that you can then galvanize all of your resources to follow that. So, for example, when my wife and I, get out of bed, we don't just roll out of bed, we jump out of bed, because we know that we're really affecting people's lives. Whether it be the television show or digital or social media, we're really affecting people's lives. And that's our purpose. Doesn't mean you have to have a television show. And your purpose doesn't have to be gigantic. It doesn't have to be that you're moving, the Earth's planet, the planet's atmosphere, or you're doing something for the environment. It can be small purposes. And Dr. Michelle Robin, who's a friend of mine in Kansas City, she gave me a great tip. She said, every day we can tell our patients to have a board, and on the left side, what did you do that was purposeful? On the right side, what did you do that was not purposeful? And if you do that, you tend to figure out things you can do to make your life purposeful. Once you do that, then you can then do things such as have mindful eating habits, purposeful movement, and also enrich your mind. And we talk about how do you then cultivate your mind and then use your tribe to put it all together. And using purpose, now it's not just conjecture, it's not just my family, my tribe, and my community. It's also that objectively we now know that if you actually have purpose, you can increase your lifespan 5 to 7 years.
So
true purpose in your life.
So of these 5, obviously purpose sounds like that's kind of the one to really start with, is finding your purpose. And I think this is something that you and I, we've read books, a lot of our colleagues that really extensively discuss this. And I agree with you. I think it is so important. And sometimes, we lose track of what that focus is or that purpose is, because we get so bogged down with our daily lives of paying bills, doing our job, taking care of our kids, driving people around, taking care of our elders like you have done for many, many years. And we forget in some ways, I think, what that purpose is. So I think just like what you said, it's so important for people sometimes just to step back and to say, why am I doing this? And what are the blessings I'm getting from that? I know your dad was sick for a long time, and you and your wife really have dropped everything to take care of him, and there's so much purpose in that for you, obviously, because this is your dad. But then there are also, I think, other things that you don't. If people are watching or reading your book, they don't have to have something that big. It could be something as little as adopting an animal from a shelter. Your purpose could be trying to improve your own health, and that's one thing I really like about your message in your book.
Absolutely, and then it follows that you then start having mindful eating habits. You don't just sit there and not even think about what you put in your mouth. And got to be the why. The why has to come first. When you have the why, then the how follows, right? So, it's easy to say that I am, for me, when I'm thinking about what I'm putting in my mouth, what I'm doing every day, it's because I want to be there for my kids and their grandkids. And in order to do that, I have to do the right thing. I have to eat the right way, and it's mindful eating, not sitting there and grabbing a bag of Cheetos in front of a game, on a continual basis. And I also think the other pillars, which is purposeful movement. I always talk about when I do talks is I call it the vulture movement. You have people that are just sitting there in the parking lot of a gym waiting for the closest place to park so they can just jump out of their car into the gym. It's that you only work out when you're in the gym. You have to make that part of your life. So all the evidence shows when you incorporate movement into your life, like gardening, like playing with the kids, like walking your dog, those are the movements that really make the difference in your lifespan. And cultivating your mind, Dr. Youn, I'm talking about ideas like mindfulness, spirituality, talking about yoga, meditation, even prayer. When you have that idea to cultivate your mind, your health benefits. We did a mobile meditation unit in the city of Detroit, in the 3rd precinct, and one of the toughest places. And the officers begrudgingly went in, but within minutes, their heart rate and blood pressure were down. And even after they stopped doing the mindfulness and meditation, their heart rate and blood pressure stayed down. So we want to give that. And finally, as you know very well, and when you do things with your tribe, when you do things with your community, you're stronger. Humanity has been successful because of that. And that's the idea that you use these 5 pillars, you become a force that's to be reckoned with, and your health and wellness really benefit from it. And we talk about that in the book in more detail and give you ways in which you can achieve that.
So one of the things that you have been very focused and deliberate in trying to include is obviously include as many people in your tribe as possible. And I know your tribe starts with your family, which is you've got a beautiful family, but expands much more upon that to not only your patients, your employees, but also the people who follow you around the world. How, when people are thinking about their own tribe and how to expand upon their tribe, are there any suggestions that you may give them? Who would you think would be in your tribe? So you've got this massive reach that the vast majority of the population doesn't have. But for somebody who's sitting at home, let's say they're living in Middle America and they're in a neighborhood, what are some things that they can do maybe to expand upon their tribe and to get that tribe closer, to get that closeness? And just like you said, you actually improve your health the closer you are with your tribe.
Absolutely, because every plan that you have, whether it's to get a better eating pattern, whether you get more movement, if your buddy calls you up at 6 a.m., you're going to be more likely to go up and do it, right? Get up and do it because you don't want to disappoint them. You have a sense of camaraderie, a sense of responsibility. So I would say first is that people think their tribe just means their immediate family, right? Their relatives, their mother, father, brother, sister. I mean, it really is much more than that. If you're lucky enough, like I did, to have a strong family, with my immediate family, and that's my main tribe, that's wonderful. But a lot of us are not that lucky, right? They may not find their tribe within their biological family. What I would say is that you may have tribes in different parts of your life. So you can have a work tribe. So many of us, like you and I, we spend so much time at work. We have a work tribe. I have 8 partners that work with me, and we really, hunker down and we come together and make that practice successful, and we work and support each other. When I'm, doing talks and lectures, they're helping me, and when they're on vacation, that tribe helps you. In addition, you could have tribes, for example, if you go out and join a team, do an extracurricular activity. If you're in the softball team, tennis team, whatever it is, if you do something, that could be another tribe. And the idea is that find various places to support you. And if you're in some place where you don't have any of those things and you're alone, one of the wonderful things, and people criticize social media, but I think it really could be a blessing. There are tribes. There's a tribe called the Royal Be Royal Tribe, and if you look them up at beroyal.com, it's amazing. They're a group of people, very strong, but they're not geographically related, and they support each other. So I think that even on social media and a digital network, you can actually find tribes. And then finally, I think you can do a couple things. You can actually do a couple of the pillars using some of the ideas we talked about for cultivating your mind going to a church, for example, or going to a yoga studio, and you can find a tribe there that can support you in cultivating your mind. So, and when you do it, you'll be successful, and not just successful in your endeavors, but disease states like heart, the stuff that kills you, high blood pressure, diabetes, strokes, all really go down when you use these techniques, including being part of a tribe.
And all of this that you're saying is scientifically supported. That's, I think, the great thing. I mean, there are studies that do show that communities that are closer together, it's actually the opposite of what we are in America nowadays, where everybody goes to work, they come home, and they don't see their neighbors for days on end. But those communities that are close-knit, and a lot of them are immigrants that are in these small, close-knit communities, they have less disease. They live longer. And then, as sure you're aware of the Daniel Plan. There's a church, Saddleback Church. My parents actually used to attend that. And I've been there numerous times where people got in these small groups to actually improve their health together. And they were so much more effective when they got together in these small groups to support each other. And so you are so on the ball with that about creating that tribe. And I totally agree with you. I think social media, it can be very negative if you are using it to compare yourself to everybody else. But, at the same time, if you've got long lost friends that you have reconnected with, or if you have maybe odd interests that not a lot of people have, you can find that tribe online by going to a Facebook group and joining groups of people who are, let's say, into the things you're into. And that could be a great way to create that camaraderie.
Absolutely. And I think that what happens is that when you do these things together, not only do you hold yourself accountable, but you can be more successful. And one of the things that we talk about in the book is, one of the main facets of Western society is the increased stress, right? The cortisol level, the ACTH that goes up. And when you have tribes that support each other, that if you have a loss of any kind, if you have, some trouble at work, or whatever it is, when your expectations aren't being met, when you have a tribe, and you talked about small immigrant families, and we've seen many examples of where communities that are close-knit can support you. And, I think the Okinawans, I think you have 4 people that are around you, and you have a small group of people that can support you through your loss and support your successes, can really decrease some of the stressors that really ravage Western society. Some of these ideas that we have that we've lost, like you said, we become an isolated society, that independence is really such a big deal that you forget about the fact that humanity existed because of the fact that we worked in tribes back in the caveman days. So yeah, absolutely, truly important.
So his book is Ask Dr. Nandi, 5 Steps to Becoming Your Own Health Hero for Longevity, Well-Being, and a Joyful Life. It goes on sale September 12th. Let's shift gears just a little bit here because, I know that there's a lot of information in your book that's very practical as far as, finding your tribe and finding your purpose and being mindful with the activity and with the food that you eat. But there's some really interesting topics I'd like to just touch on with you. And one of the things that you mentioned is that we are not our genes, that we can actually control how our genes express themselves. And this is something that honestly, I've been a physician for, I graduated in 1998, and I never really truly understood this until the past couple of years, because I don't know that it was really ever taught to us much in medical school. Can you explain this idea? Because this is something that really is building momentum about this idea of you can control the expression of your genes.
Yeah, that's a great question, Dr. Youn. And we stress that in the book, and we talk about the fact people feel like they're helpless because, my mom had diabetes, my dad had diabetes, or whatever it is, heart disease, and you feel like you're crippled. Now we know it's the majority of the fact is not your genes. Of course, you're at more risk if you have a genetic problem, but we now know what you do with the expression of those genes can be affected by what you eat, your environment, and how you behave. So imagine that you have the potential, right, of these genes being turned on. Now we know that the way you eat, especially what you put in your mouth, especially if you're exposing yourselves to certain risks. For example, if you're not exercising, if you're smoking, if you're doing things that are really not great for you, as we know, you can turn off or on these genes, so you can have some control. To me, that's a huge thing, that you can actually make a difference in what you actually bring out with the products of your genes. So we used to think that, well, it doesn't matter what I eat or what I do, this is what my fate is. And it's not so much fatalistic. It's that you actually have the power in your hands to be able to change it. So if you use the 5 pillars, you actually change the expression of your genes. If you eat mindfully, we have tons of recipes in the book as well, and we give you ideas about how you can approach food so your body can actually be useful in expressing the right products. Also, when you actually do the things we talked about cultivating your mind with mindfulness, with yoga, those ideas and decreasing the stressors and changing your environment can also affect the expression of your genes. And then nutrigenomics, which is you actually can take foods, and even if you don't change your genes, you can change the products of those genes. So your genes basically are the building blocks of all the stuff that comes out that your body is made of. You can actually change what that gene actually produces. And that's amazing that you actually have some control. Is it 100%? Absolutely not. But the majority of the effect, whether it comes to heart disease, strokes, cancer, are really all in your hands if you are willing to give it a try, which is amazing. And you're absolutely right. It's just been the last few years that we've been introduced to this idea. And I think hopefully more and more mainstream physicians start to understand and tell their patients like yourself. And we talk about it quite a bit in our book and methods in which you can really change the way your genes can act.
Yeah, and this is, I think, of anything, so incredibly important for everybody to learn about, because just to put it, to make it very concrete, is heart disease is the number one killer of Americans, okay? And there's so many men, especially, and some women that die in their 50s from heart attacks, massive heart attack, and people say, my dad died at the age of 58 from a heart attack, and I'm worried that's going to happen to me. And the message that you have in your book is based on science, and it's proven that, okay, you follow these 5, if you've got a history of heart disease in your family, your dad died of a heart attack, your grandpa died, your mother died, and you want to change that, you don't want to be the same, then do what you recommend. Number one, you change what you eat. You be very mindful of your food, because food is probably going to be the number one predictor and causative factor of whether you develop that heart attack and that atherosclerosis. Number two, you move. There's so many studies that show that exercising can improve that and reduce your risk of heart disease. Number three, you decrease the amount of stress in your life. You do yoga, you do meditation. Stress also, same thing. And then finding that tribe, same idea as you get into those communities. So, to be very concrete here, if you are listening or you're watching this podcast today and you have a family history of heart disease, pick up Dr. Nandi's book, because he's going to give you those guidelines of how you can prevent hopefully what happened to some of the other people, in your family, to your father, your grandfather. I mean, this is the way to do it. It's not the medications and all of that. This is the way to do it. And I really commend you for giving that message out, because I think it is so incredibly important.
Well, you're absolutely right. If people knew, some of these secrets, it would change. It would revolutionize, what we do in American medicine. Instead of, taking one pill after another. I mean, some of these people, as you know, come in with, a whole cachet of 20 pills that come in, and they're still miserable. And so there's a lot more that we can do, and it's basic stuff, small changes, big results. You do it consistently. And it doesn't mean that it's all as simple as can be. You sit there one day and it all happens. It does take effort, but we'll show you how to do it. And when you do it, we want you to make it as if you're walking or breathing. It becomes second nature. And I'm telling you, if you start doing it, and I tell my patients this, Dr. Youn, is that give me 5 minutes a day. Just all I need is 5 minutes. I don't need hours of your time. 5 minutes a day, of the 5 pillars. Do one activity 5 minutes a day, and do it for a month. It'll change your life. In fact, we're actually following a group of people around the country, 5 people that were with different problems, and we're following them. And it's now, I think, been several weeks. I can't remember which week it is, but somebody's lost weight. Other people have achieved purpose in their life, and it's really revolutionary. It's wonderful to see the actual changes that are happening in people's lives. And as you talked about, if you follow these principles, your future can really be changed. And that's the key. Whether you have disease or you may be at risk or you're healthy now, this book can really help you in all those 3 scenarios.
So his book is Ask Dr. Nandi, 5 Steps to Becoming Your Own Health Hero for Longevity, Well-Being, and a Joyful Life. It is on sale Tuesday, September 12th at bookstores all around the country. You can also find it on Amazon. But if you get it from a certain website, you do get a lot of free gifts for it. So the website is askdrnandy.com/hero. That's askdrnandy.com/hero. If they get that through the website, can you explain the types of free gifts that they would get with it?
Absolutely. For your listeners and viewers, obviously, that are watching this podcast right now, they can actually get these freebies. And so what we do is even before the book comes out, you can order it and you can be one of the first ones to get it. And we give a bunch of bonuses, and we give you a premium membership, we call a Health Hero membership, in which you get several ebooks. That we have 3 ebooks, and it continues to increase. We have a mobile app, so you can actually be your own health hero and take it on the go. We've developed this mobile app with some leading designers, and then also we have a Health Hero magazine that gives you every month gives you recipes and tips. We also have a meditation guide that we have that kind of leads you to a 7-day meditation seminar that I lead, and really helps you get an introduction to cultivating your mind. And we also have a private Facebook group. We have a Facebook group for Ask Dr. Nandi, be your own health hero. But this is a private Facebook group for those who are ordering the book today, and we can share with you some of the events that are coming up and any tips, and really be able to get a close-knit community to have our tribe, in fact, represented. So all these gifts will be for you free if you order this book before it's released. And just like Dr. Youn said, askdrnandy.com/hero. So I'd love to have all of you look at this book and really get so much of what has been my life's work, and hopefully that can help you.
So if you're the type of person who has been seeing physicians and you've got health issues and you're just taking pill after pill and you're not finding that this is truly improving your health, it may be reducing your symptoms, but your health isn't necessarily improving, then I encourage you to take a peek at Dr. Nandi's book, because really those pillars, I think, are so important as ways for you to completely change not only your way of life, but especially your health. And it really starts with finding that purpose, doing that, eating the right foods, moving, meditation, mindfulness. And I think I really, really appreciate the message you're giving, because I think it is the message that really America needs to hear right now. So before we finish, I'd like to ask you one final question. You are a board-certified internal medicine physician. You're a gastroenterologist in private practice. So your practice focuses on the gut. And if I could ask you just one tip that you could give for our listeners and our viewers today that they can do to help keep their gut healthy, because the microbiome, we're finding more and more, literally it seems like every month we're finding more and more how important the microbiome is to our health. What's one thing that listeners can do to improve the health of their gut?
Number one thing, I think, is prepare your own food. I think if you know what's going in your food, and you pick whole foods and as many fruits and vegetables as you can make a huge difference. Once we have so many processed foods and crap that's coming in, that's what really, I think, ruins your gut, along with several other things. But I think number one to me is make sure you know what's going in your food. Pick whole foods, lots of fruits and vegetables with really every meal, and do it every day. I think that will make a huge difference in your gut. You're giving the gut really what it needs and what it recognizes. So much these days, we're actually giving the gut things that it's never seen before, right? I mean, things that it's never seen in the history of humanity. And so the gut often has lots of trouble to recognize what it is and to process it. So I think that if I could tell one thing, and I tell my patients every single day, find out ways to make your own food, whole foods, lots of fruits and vegetables every single day. And if you can do that, that'll go a long way in making your gut happy, and then the rest of your body happy, because the gut, communicates with every single part of your body.
I think that's great advice. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it. I know you're super busy right now, and I so appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to come on.
Youn, thank you for having me. It's been a super pleasure. Hopefully I can come back.
So definitely. So the website is askdrnandy.com/hero. Check out his new book, Ask Dr. Nandi, 5 Steps to Becoming Your Own Health Hero for Longevity, Well-Being, and a Joyful Life. I'm Dr. Anthony Youn, America's holistic plastic surgeon, and this is the Holistic Plastic Surgery Show. Thank you for watching and listening. Do you want to look 10 years younger without having surgery? Well, my best-selling book, The Age Fix, will tell you how. I spent the past 17 years learning the secrets to turning back the clock and have written all the best of these secrets in this book. This includes the Age Fix diet, simple changes to what you eat that can make a huge difference in your appearance. I'll share with you a simple skincare routine to keep aging and wrinkles at bay. And I'll share with you the best secrets to treat every single beauty and aging problem there is, from age spots to wrinkles, saggy skin to bad breath, saddlebags to hair loss. And almost all of these can be effectively treated without surgery. So are you ready to turn back the clock and kick Father Time's backside? If so, check out The Age Fix. Now, if you purchase it on my website, dryoun.com, you'll get over $10 off the cover price, free shipping, and you'll receive several free gifts, including a bonus chapter that you can only get by purchasing the book there. Thank you for making The Age Fix such a huge success.